It always comes to this. Hello there guys, here to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I had showed off the new lines on my arm. You can still see they're healing here. So the arm is fully laid out now. It's really faint, and it doesn't help that it's dry. I do these vlogs again at the end of the day at work, and so I need to go home and moisturize again. I typically will only moisturize twice a day, new tattoos. So say right after the shower, then again the night after work. That's generally my maintenance regiment for new tattoos. And then just an FYI, when you have a full body suit of tattoos, every time you get out of the shower, you need to lotion your entire body. So that's pretty typical for me, is even just healed tattoos, everything gets moisturized every day. Just part of my routine. My skin gets pretty dry. I don't know if that's the climate or the fact that I have multiple layers of full saturation, but that is an FYI. My skin tends to be quite dry. You notice it particularly in the blackout. I'm not noticing it as much in the areas we've tattooed over the blackout, but that's probably because it's a full saturation bodysuit of one color. So yeah, for anyone who was ever curious about that, I go through quite a bit of lotion. Standard is just non-scented, oil-free, because I am a little prone to breakouts, believe it or not. My skin is pretty decent overall, but I do find when I'm using lots of lotion, I am prone to breakouts, so I go for an oil-free, fragrance-free, I think it's called Cerebim. That's my standard lotion. And for tattoo healing, I stick to Aquaphor. I've been on Aquaphor since I started. I've tried Green Glide, and I tried Tattoo Goo, and Hustle Butter, and I've tried lots of the different ones over the years. H2 Ocean, whatever. I've tried it. I'm pretty faithful to Aquaphor, especially when I worked in the kitchen for so long. It was always really good to know that you were going to stay hydrated the whole day, and Aquaphor seems to keep you going for a long time without needing to put any more on. Now, I think I've probably rambled enough about my aftercare and skincare routine. Get into what me and Terry got up to. I had mentioned we were likely going to do this. You can see that the high points have been done, and there was quite a bit more high points per rose. And these are absolutely glowing now. People have accused me before of using a polarizer or a CPL or some kind of crazy lens or something to enhance the brightness of my tattoos, or Photoshop or something. No. And because of that crap, I've started taking videos outside too. Not every time, but a lot of the time now, just because I'm like, nope, you're not going to be able to use that. Nope, taking that weapon out of the equation. We're going to go stand out in whatever lighting we find, and we're going to take videos and photos, and those people will have one less card in their arsenal. And I do it just for that reason, too. That being said, I find that the color seems better looking outside than it does inside. This stuff is a little bit darker in the indoors, so like not the black, but like the color comes off more of like a dark burgundy or a purpley, whereas outdoors it is more of kind of a medium toned red, or it's more warm. It's not as cold looking. So, and that's in every lighting I've tried too. So every time we've gone out, me and my wife take photos, and we don't go out as often as we used to. So I'll make a long story short, I used to take a lot more photos for Instagram when I was building my profile and cared more about that. Now, I haven't gone out for a proper photo shoot since December. And I have tons of products and things that companies have sent me that I really need to model, but I don't like doing photo shoots. I find them very annoying. But anyway, I'll get out of that. So Terry and I did the white highlights on the roses. It took about 2 hours. I wasn't actually expecting it to take as long. I planned on doing, if we had the time, I was planning on doing white highlights in the face roses too. But we didn't end up getting to that. As I said, it took longer than I expected. There were more high points to hit in these. It looks almost more like a full redo, even though when you get into it, you can tell that it's not. You can see now, though, that that's a different white than the stuff on my face, and I actually like that, except I want to put high points in the ones on my face as well. You can see here that the high points stay. They stayed on the hand. They stayed here. They stayed obviously here and on the big one. You got all those white highlights. That's all third pass white. So everything in here was done twice. And then we came back with that highlight run to get those defined edges. And that was always planned. The runs on my neck, we planned to do that way back. We talked about doing that either October or November when we finished the second pass last year. But it was probably good to give my neck some time off for healing, because even as I'm doing this, you can still feel the lines where he shaded. Now, normally when you tattoo something full color or full saturation, what happens is the whole area swells up. But because we just tattooed parts of these, I could feel the parts we tattooed versus the parts we didn't, almost like a braille texture. Like I could read them. Like it was really, really interesting. Like especially when I first washed it, you could feel every part that he tattooed. So my skin welted up like crazy. And I don't know if that's just the fact that he didn't saturate the whole thing, or if it's the fact that I'm working on so much scar tissue, or what the problem is. But for whatever the case is, I think it was probably for the best that we waited about 6 months in between. Now that being said, you can go back and you can look at how my roses were looking in the last video, and I'm going to put in some pictures as well. And no, they're not edited. I'm too lazy to edit things. I'm too lazy barely to edit these videos. So anyone who's observed my social media habits will know that you get it raw with me. And whatever that looks like, whether it looks good or bad, that's the way it's going up. There's some definite things in some pictures that I posted on my Instagram that are not flattering. And I do that on purpose because there are a lot of black workers out there that post like these perfect day ones, and then they never show you the imperfections that they have later. You just never see those. I'm not that guy. You see if I have a scuff. I'll show you these, right? That little part there. I didn't have these before I gained weight last year and this year. Some lines have showed up in my black work, and I'm not hiding them. If I wanted to, it would take me no time to touch those up, but since I'm covering everything anyway, it's not really a big deal. For example, Rick blacked this in here. That stayed super dark. We used Gloom Panthera, so we used our blackest black, and that's peeled already. So it's going to stay around that pitch. It's going to lighten up a little bit, but it's going to be fairly defined. And it's going to stay defined mostly because we have the pink here. We got white next to it. And then we're going to take the red and whip it out in between the tentacles and around the black. So there will be no dynamic black of the old blackout left. So there's no way that that black won't show up around the brain. So that's all been talked about. We're going to do that here pretty quick. Probably do that when I do the second pass on the neck red that I've spoken about. I'll tell you this, though. I've had my neck tattooed over 20 times now. Easily over 20 times. In the last year, it's been probably a dozen times. And it never gets better. Like, I don't know if I was just feeling it more yesterday or what, but I didn't like that. Of course, I never complained, and I'm not complaining now. And full disclosure, I think neck tattoos are one of the coolest placements for tattoos. I really love neck tattoos. I always have. A neck tattoo or throat tattoo is always one of the more striking placements for a tattoo, but they're also always uncomfortable. I've heard some people who don't mind getting them done, but I have never complained ever during a tattoo session, but I'll always tell you afterwards that was unpleasant. And there's argument for me to make that it's probably more unpleasant every time for me, being that I've had it done so many times. I mean, these roses alone have been tattooed. We did them twice with black because by the time we went to touch them again, they were fading a little bit. We used dynamic the first time. And now they've been done 3 times with white. That does not include all the various, like, because we did 2 lining sessions on them with dynamic, then we did 2 shading on them with we did lining on them with dynamic, then we did shading with dynamic, then we did lining with Panthera and shading with Panthera, then we did white highlights, added the thorns, we did a full pass on the red, we did a full pass on the red and touched up this part when we were there on the face. I don't know how many times the red was done on my first neck. We extended my first neck tattoo several times and touched up the red because it's hard to get solid red even on non-tattooed skin. And then the blackout took 4 passes overall as well. I don't even know how many times we tattooed my neck anymore. It gets carried away. The more I think about how many times we changed something on the original neck, I know I was in around 10 times before we even started the blackout, because even my first suit had so many layers and so many modifications to it. Honestly, whenever I think about it, it gets more and more, and we're not done yet. I do think that these roses are done now. I think that's it for them finally, and I don't think they're going to change much from where they are now. Like, they're going to stay pretty much that white, and my arm is proof of that. But doing that really tells me I need to do the highlights here. But that's only going to be like 10 minutes. But yeah, neck tattoos, never pleasant, no matter how many times I do it. I'm never going to enjoy it. It's always like an 8 for me. That being said, I wouldn't complain during a 10 out of 10, and I'm not tapping out. I don't think that there's a force in the universe strong enough to make me tap out during a tattoo. But I am big enough to admit that it's not pleasant. People have asked me why I haven't tried numbing cream yet. Like, you've earned it, Remy. Come on, just do it. Like, it'd be nice to be able to say I know what it feels like. But I just have no interest in doing it. Like, it's not like I feel like anyone's a bitch for using it or anything like that. It's just I've gotten this far without doing it, and I have a lot of respect for the feeling of it, and I like the trading pain for progress thing. Like, I've always been a big fan of my relationship with pain and tattooing, and I feel like it wouldn't feel as rewarding for me personally if I didn't have that part. So while I'm not saying everybody needs to feel the pain of it and you need to be a tough guy or anything like that, you do you. For me, tattooing is equal parts, or at least I would say even more about the session than it is about the outcome. I get a little buggy if I don't get tattooed every week. So, I mean, I'm doing it for more than just the image. But for some people, it is about the image, and I'm not begrudging anyone that. If you just want the cool tattoo and you don't want to feel the pain or go through the journey part of it, that's totally cool. More power to you. I'm not here to shame anyone. We all go for a different thing. We're all in this for a different reason. You know, tattoo is a very interesting thing. It's got a little something for everyone, and that something's a little different for everyone, I feel like. So for me, I enjoy all aspects of it, though, and I'm not looking to take any parts away from it. Anyway, I got a little ranty there. I'll show it up close off. And again, there's going to be some outdoor photos of this and pictures of this, or videos of this, because I wanted to do that just to take away any of that. This is day 2, so it was a little bit brighter on day 1. Most of the mixing has happened already, and that happens generally. It gets darker within the first 24 hours, and it doesn't really get a lot darker than that. So this is pretty much what we're going to have when I show this off again next week. It may be a slight bit different, but it's not going to change much from here out. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.